Welcome to MapleWooding.com podcast. We have on the phone our favorite real estate man, Mark Slade. How you doing, Mark?
I'm doing great, Joe. Good to talk to you.
Yeah, we haven't talked to you since last fall, so we try to get you in the spring and the fall as things change. Of course, you're with Keller Williams and many online outlets where you can find Mark and his great work. Of course, we post links to Mark's open houses every Sunday. Last Sunday was pretty busy, and it's that time of year. But let's talk about the market. Where we are in March of 2016. I think the last times we've talked, it's been the seller's market. Where do things stand now for the would-be buyer and would-be seller?
It is at least as much of a seller's market as it has been, if not even more so. It's actually pretty startling, and it's giving rise to the thought that based on certain statistics, that there should be a term for it. I usually refer to this kind of market as a hyper market, and that's because when you look at the Maplewood marketplace, we'll get into some more of the statistics, there are basically almost 50% more homes under contract than are active and available online to sell. So, there are actually 56 homes that are technically considered active, but a dozen of those homes have accepted offers on them, including, a couple of my listings. And that means that we have a net inventory of 44 homes, as what the GSMLS, the Multiple Listing Service, tells us. But we have 68 homes that are currently under contract, and that's just telling you that we're a hypermarket. We are way over where we should be, and the results in the closings that we've had for almost the full first quarter of 2016 are registering at 101% of asking, and that's also pretty significant. I mean, we've always been in the last 3 years hovering, at the 100% of asking mark. But this first part of the season, we have to keep in mind that what has closed, a lot of these were properties that were selling on the market at the fourth quarter, but their closings take anywhere from 45 to 90 days. So that's usually a weaker market in terms of percentages. And when you blend it, the fact that we're at 101% of the asking price in terms of purchase price paid, that's huge.
And of course, we have
really huge at this point.
And of course, the Midtown Direct still seems to be a great draw. Maplewood Village, all the great things that are happening in our town. Of course, we got the best downtown in the state award last year from New Jersey Monthly. And what is the sort of...
don't forget, we had the year before we had the New York Times article that featured Maplewood.
The New York Times has promoted Maplewood a few times, but more recently as well. And of course, I believe Parkwood Diner got at least in a top Essex County or the top North Jersey award. And that's all, this is by voters, so it's people saying what they like. It's not just some editor somewhere saying it. But what is sort of the thought on the post office project? Does that seen as something that will attract people or hurt the village, or not really have an impact on the general attractiveness of our homes?
Are you trying to get people to throw eggs at my house?
No.
You know this is one of the most hotly contested conversations.
Well, I wonder if it's one of the things that I would not think that it would really have that much of an impact. It might even help just people to see a new project. I mean, would someone who really likes everything about Maplewood not be here because something new is going in? I mean, some people here are against it, but most people seem to like it, or at least it seems to be it's more positive than having businesses going away. If Maplewood Village was half empty retail, that'd be a worse thing. No, or you know better than me, or is it not even an issue?
It's a proven statistic that when there is a solid demographic, that restaurants and such will congregate around it. I posted an article that, ironically, towns that have Starbucks have higher average prices than towns that don't have Starbucks.
Interesting.
And that's because Starbucks does do their demographic research.
Yes.
Any companies that are looking to put stores in do it. I used to be part of that business a long time ago. And the bottom line is that while we don't have a Starbucks yet, we're certainly, looking at that potentially happening. And there are rumors that one may be going into this new structure in downtown Maplewood. But when you take underutilized real estate, especially in the heart of our town, and you upgrade it to a newer environment that's going to have businesses and additional residence capability, I actually do think that ultimately the general idea, is a great one for this town. And there's no reason, having a post office where you can drop off and, have your little post office box, that is something we should have in the downtown area.
Yeah, and that's good, and we do have.
Crime. Right.
Yeah, it's not like that went away. And you're right, that was a big deal, I think, for a lot of people. Was, well, we got to keep a post office, and I think it's been great that it's still there. It's a good spot. Yeah.
So you think about it, because now what it's doing, it's spreading out some of the walking traffic.
Yes, there are a lot of people who go to that end of Maplewood Avenue up by Abel Baker and that maybe wouldn't, and they'll see Abel Baker, they'll see other things over there. Good point. And again, I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I just thought that it's an interesting thing, because I don't think it's the kind of thing that would hurt our attractiveness to people. And again, we have...
And frankly, if there are units that are priced appropriately, I can't tell you the biggest stumbling block that we have in our town is that, the people that are now empty nesters and don't need actually a big house and would be better off being in an elevator building and such, this could be a phenomenal place for somebody who's downsizing, an empty nester, to go to, if in fact, it's affordable for them.
And let me ask you another question about selling or buying here. We've had a lot of development. We have the big 235-unit apartments going up across from the pool. We have the one in Maplewood Village. We have a few others. There's the big complex next to DeHart. There's the former police station site. How do these... But most of these are not more than 1 or 2 bedrooms, right? It's not really a competition for the house, correct? Or no?
No, they're definitely not competition for a house. They really are, generally speaking, for somebody who wants to try out the town, or somebody who's in a position and they're downsizing and they're not sure what they want to do.
Right.
There was somebody that I had buyers for a over $1 million transaction on Ridgewood Road recently, and the seller, she moved to the station house, which is the property that you were describing.
Right.
That happens to be, where the former police station used to be.
Right.
And once again, talk about it taking a space that hypothetically has under-realized value to the town.
Sure.
Which is how I would probably term that. And now you've got this thriving opportunity for people to live, which I think, this person is great. She has an elevator building. She still is in town. She can stay close to her friends. She can still even walk to area businesses. I mean, what more could you ask for?
This is someone who had a house on Ridgewood and sold it.
Plus house.
And sold it and then stayed in town at that apartment building. And these are all apartments. These are all rentals, right? These aren't condos.
Correct.
Which I think...
they're not. They're all rentals.
That must make it easier for someone to come in and want to check out the town. Maybe they have a little one or a one on the way or no children yet, and they say, oh, we hear about Maplewood. What? I don't want to buy a house yet, but I can go rent, I can check out the town, and then when they want to buy, they jump to you, and then the next person comes in. So it would seem, because I know a lot of people say, oh my God, we got more apartments, that's more kids, that's more this. Now it takes some resources, but it really isn't the school's population hit that people think, or is it to a degree? I would think not, right? There's not a lot of kids in these apartments.
It's hard to say. If you look at the combination of everything that's happening in town, there would be... It would be hard-pressed for us to not believe it's going to put additional strain and stress on the school budget. I mean, just because there are that many opportunities for these to be, new residents that are coming into town. So in that, it's a tough one because I've seen statistics both ways, and that's, of course, very common, that we can see statistics espousing benefits as well as negative attributes at the same time. So I don't have a confidence level that the numbers that I've seen have given me an opportunity to have a true position that I can have and own with confidence. I just have to say that the irony is we all love it when we find out that our houses are continuously worth more and more and more. It is, generally speaking, all of us, our single biggest investment and asset. So when you see that as a result of that, areas are being redeveloped and bringing, more people into the area, those are also more people to serve our businesses.
Right. It's a positive. It's a net positive in that regard. Yeah.
Right. Overall, the general logistics of what we're talking about are incredibly positive for the Maplewood economy, and as a result, its residents. The challenge can be that having to work through some strains, some issues, and such like that, or even the question of how aesthetically something fits into an area. But that's obviously always been a challenge. It's what's good architecture versus bad architecture. It's what's relevant architecture versus irrelevant architecture. So, these are things that aren't endemic just to Maplewood. It's everywhere in the world, Somebody could decide they want to put a postmodern style building next to a colonial. It's going to look silly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Somebody could build a towering, skyscraper. That shows you, the more you build up, shows you how more valuable the land has become. So, frankly speaking, you look at some downtowns, you look at some areas in New York City, as long as it's got the right blend of residents and businesses, it's a great area to live. So, that's how I kind of look at it.
Right. Now let's get back to the seller's market. You were mentioning before we went on some of the stats about how well homes are selling and what the prices are doing. Why don't you give us a taste of sort of what the specifics are and how well homes are doing on the selling market here?
Well, so basically at this point in time, for the first almost full 3 months of the year, obviously we have another week to officially go, we've actually closed a total of 48 homes. And that's a pretty significant number. Mm-hmm. Because, like I said, the prime bulk closings will really occur in second quarter and a little over into third. So that's an incredibly healthy number. They've closed at an average purchase price of $509,000. They've been on the market for 50 days, and that's pretty low. Ironically, we've closed more homes than are actively available on the market to purchase. That's a scary thought to me.
So people are selling at or above asking?
Yeah.
And
on average.
Like and
I said,
within 90 days, you said?
And 50
days. And I would assume that's quicker than usual.
That is definitely quicker than usual.
Excellent.
And it gets even more startling because the houses that are now under contract, mm-hmm. of which there are 68 units that are under contract.
In Maplewood.
Okay? In Maplewood. Right. And that means that, once again, like I said, we have 50% more homes under contract than are active and able to be sold.
Oh, my God.
And they have an average days of market of 42.8 or 43 days, even less. That's how fast homes are being eaten up by the Maplewood buyers. And that's why, to your point, this is an incredible opportunity to be a Maplewood seller. And let's bring up the white elephant that no one wants to talk about. This is a year that the township is going through a reval.
Right.
Okay, so, I sat in at the recent meeting at the Hart Park, and, it had a member of the Essex County Tax Board, it had our Mayor, Dick DeLuca, and it had our tax assessor and the assistant assessor for Maplewood. And, the bottom line is that we've seen our property values rise significantly in the past 3 years. As a result, we have what they call the coefficient of more than 15% off from what the assessed values are relative to current market value. And that usually sets off an immediate need to do a reval. I think 2 weeks ago we confirmed that we were hiring ASI, the same company that did the reval 4 years ago in town. But, here's the challenge. We really have no idea where it's going to go. And every time we do have a reval, it usually sets off a wave of selling activity because, let's face it, let's say I'm on the fence, but my taxes are kind of low because, let's say, I renovated my home, but I didn't need permits for the work that I had done. I just did, new floors and, and I put in new tile in my bathroom. I don't need to have a permit for those things. Mm-hmm. And so the value of my home has increased. but the township hasn't captured that. So my taxes, let's say, on a $500,000 home are $12,000. That's great. That's phenomenal, because that's way less than what they should be relative to the average tax rate of 3.6% that we currently have in town.
Right, but the tax...
Let's say they come in and they do the reval, it's likely that my taxes are going to go up. And when I lived on Prospect Street, I'll never forget what it was like to go from $13,000 to $17,000 in taxes overnight.
And but the taxes have always been high here in recent years, and the selling has still continued well. And it seems like the big hit that hit Maplewood was back in 2000. That was the real hit. It doesn't seem like you're going to get that much of a blowout again, no? Or is it? Considering we've already had one not too long ago.
Well, here's the thing. So, if you bought your house recently in the last 4 or 5 years, you probably won't get hit too badly, because unless you've made dramatic changes to its interior condition, it's kind of probably stayed within pace. But like I said, if you're the homeowner that you gave your kitchen and your bathroom spacelifts, okay, and the township didn't require permits, we all know that a house with a brand new kitchen, okay, meaning brand new granite countertops, brand new stainless appliances, really nice brand new cabinets with a soft close, automatic soft close, and all that kind of stuff. That house, same house, could sell for $50,000 more than the house next door that doesn't have that kitchen.
Right.
Okay, so the argument, and this actually was espoused not by me, but by the committee that gave the presentation on the reval. That's the whole point. There's a value to that home. That's current market value, and to try to equalize the tax burden and make it fair, if your home is worth that much more, then the township feels that your home should have a higher assessment. So the good news is that the tax rate, when this is done, should drop again from its current 3.6 to a 3.1, because you have to do the math. It's a 15% coefficient. So if the value is going to hopefully come up 15% when they conclude their assessment of the town, the reval, then the tax rate should come down, because a reval is supposed to be tax neutral.
Right.
It's not supposed to be...
You're not going to raise more taxes.
Right. It's not supposed to raise more taxes.
Just going to spread it around.
It's not allowed to raise more taxes. Right. Right. Now, of course, we all know that every year there's still usually some increase in the budget. But still, it's not as if this is a purposeful tool. This is a tool to realign, to make sure that where values are at current markets are, if that's what the value is, that that's the kind of tax you should be paying. So the only challenge where it hurts somebody is, let's say, I haven't renovated my house, okay? And on my street, okay, my house, is in a fair market, it's worth $500, but on my street, I just had, 3 recent sales at $650.
Right.
That's where the fear factor comes in. That's like, a reality TV show, okay? What's going to happen to me?
So what is it about, and then I'll let you go here. Again, we're talking to Mark Slade from Keller Williams. You can find him. I know you have several websites. I always go to goodhomesforgoodpeople.com. And there's also the open houses every Sunday that we promote. So what is it that keeps Maplewood still selling high with all these things? Is it just we're still Midtown Direct, we're still safe, we're still you can buy a house for $300 here, you can buy a house for millions here. I mean, what is sort of the thing that keeps it going?
So, in that article from October 14th, New York Times,
right.
That's where the expression Brooklyn West came out.
Yes.
That came out of my mouth. So.
I know, and you and I have talked. I'm not a fan of that expression, but
I understand that. I know.
But you're the real estate man. You know better than me.
Yeah. But the bottom line is this: in Brooklyn, they're paying $966 a square foot.
I know, absolutely, yes.
Here, they're going to pay about $300 square foot.
Right,
So,
and there is an element of the. I'm sorry.
I said, and to go further with that, when I lived in Brooklyn, in Park Slope, my commute was about 30 minutes or so on the F train, standing up in a cattle car.
Yeah.
And my commute to here, when I first moved here to go to the city, was about 35 minutes, but in a nicer, bigger train. Obviously, there are days that, obviously don't go well in public transportation. But the reality is, I was able to get, 3 times as much space for the same buck.
Right, and this is a very...
We are always going to be hot unless something major happens. That's why Maplewood, let's face it, if you want a 45-minute commute to New York City, your choices are kind of limited in terms of what your money can afford.
Right. And you can, even going to Summit, you're going to pay more. You're going to be farther away. I grew up in Summit. I still love Summit as my hometown, but it's not Maplewood. It's a little more suburbanish. It's a little more expensive. It's a little farther from New York. It's a little more snobby, and I say that as a person who lived there. I can say that Maplewood has all those other attractions that are the opposite of that. It is a flavor. Yeah, it's also very diverse.
I did an analysis for a client, and this is actually pretty telling, Joe. To your point, forgetting about any of the commentary, because Summit is a great town as well, and I cover that.
Well, that's my commentary, not yours.
Yeah, that's right. When you do the math, you might be able to shave off maybe $10, $20 a month for the same size house by living in Summit. You will pay more for it in purchase price,
right,
and you will pay less for it in taxes.
Yes.
And that's a good thing for your investment. However, you can add, on average, another half an hour per day to your commute for each person commuting. And if you're somebody with a young child that's in daycare or has a nanny and there's an issue, you want to be closer.
Yes.
I mean, so if it's almost the same, wouldn't proximity to New York City be hopefully the overriding? Well, I should say hopefully it would most likely be an overriding measure for people. And so, bottom line is, there are differences in the complexions of the towns as well. But our commute can't really be beat. So, and that's what unless they ever close the tunnels. I mean, frankly, we should continue to be a hot prospect for people. As to where to live if you want to commute to New York City.
This is also a very much a walking town in terms of kids can walk to most schools, or at least not a long ride, and the train goes to the center of town. And we also have no parking meters, or very few. And hopefully that will last for a while. Although we could use some more parking, but again, that is not a real big issue, I don't think, for most people. It would be nicer if we had a little more parking, but I've never gone downtown and not been able to park near enough.
Hey, is it any different than going to the mall?
I would, again, rather go downtown for that than go to the mall.
Well, I would too, but I'm saying looking for a spot at the mall.
No, it's not that terrible here. I mean. It's not impossible. And they've opened up parking. They added the Woodlands parking lot, and that linked to the other parking lot, I believe on Highland Place or Inwood, Highland Place. And
they connected it to, which was great.
That was that was a big help. And there's no meters, and there's also parking along the parks for when you want to go to the train. But anyway, we'll let you go. Again, we'll promote it.
Can I just say one thing?
Yes, sir.
That as part of my mission, I like to make sure I give back to the community. So, in addition to being a YMCA board member and fundraiser for the YMCA, I am a big fan and volunteer for Backpack Pals.
Right, and that
was a incredibly momentous day because we delivered our 10,000th bag to children in need. And I just wanted to give a shout-out to David Wagner, Chris Dixon, Rent Party, Backpack Pals founders, and what it has done and what it means to our community.
And I have seen you out there carrying the boxes of the lunches and the dinners and the food, so I know firsthand of what you speak. And yes, that's one of the things that Rent Party is a big sponsor. If you've never been to Rent Party, we always promote it. People should know if you want one reason to go to Rent Party, aside from the great music, it raises money for a good group that keeps it in town and gives direct help to the people who need it. This is no 3 steps removed bureaucracy at all. You guys are raising the money, and you're spending the money on the people that need it, and that's what people should know about.
Yeah.
And
thank you.
Again, it's Mark Slade from Keller Williams. You can get him at goodhomesforgoodpeople.com. You can email. What's your best email? I know you have several.
sladehomes@gmail.
sladehomes@gmail.com, and the office is in Midtown or downtown.
And if you want to give me a call or text me, 917-797-5059.
And you also cover a lot more than just Maplewood. You sell in South Orange and all over the area, correct?
Yeah, I actually have done transactions now in 30 towns in New Jersey. I specialize in train towns because that's my mindset and my client's mindset most of the time. But, bottom line is They're supported by my 27 open house town-specific websites.
Yes.
But, we can talk about it another time if you want.
No, it's all good, and we keep, like I said, every Sunday we put up the open houses, and they're very well promoted, and the way you put them on the website is very easy to follow, and we'll keep promoting it.
You got it.
Thank you very much, Mark, as always, and we'll talk to you soon, and good luck out on the sales trail.
You got it. Thank you so much.
You too, man. Be well.
Okay.